refer to your sister or me? Alrighty. So first off, portfolio conferences yesterday. That was Sonia. Actually, I think it was you or you, right? Okay, got it. So I just met with you. How do you think it went? Do you think it was useful?
I could not find the freaking calendar.
Really? Okay. So you couldn't find the calendar. That was an issue. We're here to talk about that. But you thought it was useful or no? Good use of your time or bad use of your time? What do you think? The 5 minutes we did. Okay. Just asking. You got more to say?
Huh?
You got more to say?
I just don't know the calendar.
Oh, that's cool. I can help you out. There should be a link, but of course that's what everybody's telling you. You know, the way learning is right now. Oh, I see. You know. What about you, Chicken? What do you think about it? Couldn't find it? Okay. So if we can fix that, that would be a good step. What's up, guys? Brad. What did you think about portfolio stuff yesterday? Did you feel like it was useful? Was it a good use of our time? Do you think it went well? Could we improve it some way? I want to take the first couple of minutes to talk about that. Any thoughts? I have mine, but I'll share them at the end. So, Haley.
Morning, Elisa. Here are your announcements for Thursday, September 17th. Breakfast party, yogurt, juice, fruit, milk. Lunch today will be a picnic lunch. You
Yeah, what's up? You can't find the email. That's the issue. Let's just find all the trash.
Come on Wednesday. Make sure you
Well, it's not trash. But all.
Today we will have an all-school picnic and a rain parking lot event. Classes will run until 12:04.
Yes,
At that time, you will be released by the doors when you get out to the outdoor.
Find all the emails back. Could be any of these. Portfolios are starting tomorrow. There's your links. Google Calendar for portfolio conference. Try any of those. Did you know you can search for a teacher like that? That's useful, isn't it? A little confusing, but easy. Okay. Yeah. What do you guys think of portfolio stuff yesterday? How it went? You have any critique for it? Anything we did better? What's up?
Did you read mine?
I mean, I read whatever you did before yesterday. If you did stuff yesterday, I didn't read it.
The one I wrote at like 1 a.m.
Probably. I might have actually. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah. Any suggestions for going forward? How we can make it better? Did you think it was a good use of your time? I think that's a very important question. Was it worth it? Do we feel like it's a good way to look at what you're doing in class and how much you understand? I feel like my B-Day kids might have more to say about that than my A-Day kids, since only one of you did it. Hey, how'd you guys feel about portfolio stuff yesterday? Was it a good use of our time? Do you have any suggestions to make it better? Was it crappy? Do you have, critique for it? Complaints, or what should we do? I want to talk about mine, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit. Take your time on that. Type it in the chat for me. People in class, do you have anything to add about what we're doing? What about the leading up to the portfolio conference? Do we feel like we know what to do for the portfolios, how to make stuff, what to write about? Sebastian, how are you feeling about this? You don't know what to write about? So you don't mean like, I don't know that there's stuff on Google Classroom. I don't know that we can write about stuff in class. You know that, right? Okay. Have you looked at anybody else's portfolios at all? Or are you in the group? Okay. I would start with, it's kind of hard to understand like what I want and like what I'm looking for. I get that, especially, and I can talk more and more about it, but eventually words aren't going to do it justice. Go and look at what other people have done. I would encourage you guys to go on not just this class's group, but another group. If you want, get out your Chromebooks right now, and let's get you into another group. Period 2 geometry usually gets my best show. So I've been giving people their code. It's like AY something. Let me check. You're going to click your name, go to groups, and then join group, and then type in this code, okay? Here. Oh, good. Yeah, I would really look at what other people are doing, not just because like, oh, that's how you do it, but also read my comments down below, and you'll realize what I'm looking for more, right? With a clear example. That would be the thing I would do next. Hi. How'd you guys feel about portfolio stuff yesterday? Do you feel like it was a good use of our time? Do you feel like it was helpful? The code for second hour geometry is this. AY9FBX. I think everybody that met with me got this, but you two didn't meet, so you gotta get this. We gotta figure out when to meet too, guys.
What's this one?
That's the code for second hour. They're geometry. You're my only algebra class. But we do a lot of the same. Yeah, very helpful. Okay. Do you have any critiques, anything we could do differently? Like personally, I felt 5 minutes was not long enough. I felt like I spent most of the time talking and you spent most of the time listening. I feel like doubling that time would be good. The reason I rushed through it was because I didn't want to be late for my next appointment. And I still was, right, in a lot of cases. And we'll work out the bugs and get it smoother. But I think 10 minutes would be better. The problem is I have 69 students. 69 students, 10 minutes each. Right? That's 690 minutes. Divide that by 60. That's 7 hours. Go on. 690, did I do that math right? 690 students, 10 minutes each is what we're shooting for, right? So 690, right? We're talking 7 hours, 7.5 hours. Right, something like that. Math is hard.
This is invalid.
The code is invalid? That's because you're probably already part of it. Didn't you join a bunch of others?
Oh.
Right? And so I don't have 7.5 hours straight that I can give you. I can try to do it like that, but you guys don't want to show up early. So I think what I'm going to do is this. Here's my solution. Tell me what you think. We're already divided up A-Day, B-Day, right? How about every other week is A-Day or B-Day's time to do a portfolio conference? Does that feel fair? Does that seem like it would work? Because that doubles the amount of time we can have easily. There's less competition for time slots. And then if you want to show up on a week that's not your week for a portfolio conference, you can. That's totally fine. It just won't be for a grade. It'll just be for feedback, which is the whole point anyway. What do you think of that idea, guys? Yeah, is that okay, Jordan? So Sebastian, what can I do to make this easier for you? Is it just figuring out what to write about? Okay.
Yeah.
Check out those portfolios, see what they're doing. Check out people in your classes too, because now that they got their butts in gear, they're looking at stuff. Huh?
I feel like I'm happy.
Nope. I know, you gotta get past that. Okay. You can work together. I prefer if you talk to them if you're gonna like really use their work and like work together actually, but yeah. Okay. So what I want to talk about today is a couple things. So I had some Algebra 2 students that were my geometry students last year, coming to me this morning like, oh, we got a quiz today. Like, oh, really? What are you doing in Vandermites? And they're like, oh, well, we're doing something with slope. You guys know what slope is? What is slope? How would you describe it?
Down here.
Ooh, the steepness of a hill. That's a really good way to describe it. That's why they call it slope, right? Like a slope of a hill, right? When you go sledding? You guys go sledding, right? Where's the best sledding hill? Around these parts.
There's one that's like.
Ooh, so we have one that's like this and one that's like this. And this one's more steep, right? Exactly, it's like a wall. Right? That's not a hill, that's a wall, right? So they were talking to me about slope today. They didn't really know what it was. You guys know better. That's good. Probably because you had algebra last year. They had geometry, right? So the thing they're messing with today is this abomination. Do you guys remember this at all? What does this mean? Yeah. Right? Ugh. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2. Well, okay, great. Maybe. Eventually you're going to forget that. So some of you already have. M stands for what?
Meters.
Meters. Good guess. In this case, it doesn't. Measurement. What if I said y equals mx plus b? Yeah, that drilled in your heads? Yeah, m is slope, right? So this is slope. Why did I use m for slope? Shouldn't they use s? S looks like a 5, so we try to avoid s's, that's true. The real reason I think is that the French came up with this thing, and in French, slope starts with an m. I think that's why. I think so, but I could be wrong.
Hello?
Well, no, it's a French word, different word. It's not melope. But I think it's funny. Good sense of humor. Anyway, so you said you had hills like this, and you had hills like this, right? So one hill is basically a wall. In other words, it's really steep. How do we describe steepness? It goes up more than it goes over, right? Because if it went up more than it goes over, we can get something like this, right? It goes up a lot more than it goes over. Something like that. You see what I'm saying? It goes over very little, but it goes up a lot in that amount. Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? So it has a vertical element, an up and down, and it has a horizontal element, the left and right. Yeah, you do. Just like normal. Only on Wednesdays is going to be optional like that. So, vertical, up and down, horizontal, left and right. Correct? So this one has a lot of vertical, not a lot of horizontal, right? So it's very steep. What if it has a lot of horizontal, but not a lot of vertical? It's not really a hill, is it, right? It's not steep at all. It has a slope of 0. Oh, not steep. So when we talk about how vertical it is, we're talking about how much it goes up. When I talk about how much, right, vertical, how much vertical, what are we talking about here? Yeah, sure, we're talking about the slope. What do I mean by how far it goes? When I say how far it goes, what do you think of? Other than Moana, what's the next thing you think of? How far something goes. What words pop in your head?
How big?
How big the hill is? How far it goes? How big the hill is? What do you mean by that? Okay, keep thinking. How far something goes. Distance. Sure, right? That makes sense. Another word for how far something goes, distance. So when we talk about how far it goes vertically, really what we mean is vertical distance, right? And how far something goes horizontally, we mean horizontal distance. Yeah? You follow me? Okay, let's talk about distance. What is distance? It's hard to define, isn't it?
How far are you going to walk before you
Ooh, how far it gets from one point to the other, right? Let's talk about points. Hi, Haley. How far apart are 5 and 7? Ooh, how'd you do that? Ooh, you subtracted! So you did 7 minus 5, didn't you? And that got you the distance between 5 and 7. 2. Now, isn't that interesting? We started on 5 and we went to 7. So we did 7 minus 5. Isn't that weird? 5, then 7. But in order to do it, we had to do 7 minus 5. We flip it, right? Isn't that kind of odd? The number you start at is the second number. Because what if we had started on 7 and we went this way? What would have happened? I'll use a different marker.
have gone back?
Well, we still would have gone 2, right? But it's going to the left. And if the number I start on is the second number, I'm starting on 7 this time,
Oh,
right?
negatives.
Yep. Our distance would be this, which is, of course, -2. Now, can distance be negative? I don't know. Depends on what you want to talk about, right? If I walk to you and you walk to me, we went the same distance, right? Doesn't matter which way we went. But if you want to imply direction, that's what negative signs are for. Negatives are different than subtraction. They're similar in some ways, but they are different in others. Negative just implies direction, right? This is 2 to the right. This is 2 to the left. Direction matters. Follow what I'm stepping in? So sometimes direction matters, sometimes it doesn't. We don't want it to matter when we do this. Like imagine if I went from 5 to 7 and then I went to 8, right? I'd want to add those distances together to say how far I went. If I said this was -2 distance and then I went 1 more, I would have ended up going -1 distance total, right? In other words, 1 to the left. That doesn't make any sense. So usually when we talk about distance in math, we talk about it being positive, so it's easier to add together, right? I went from 5 to 7, that's +2. and I went from 7 to 8, that's positive 1, so I went 3 total. Right? If I just said it doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative, then I would have gotten negative 2 plus 1, which is negative 1. That wouldn't make any sense, right? So a lot of time we use, ooh, nice. A lot of the time we use positive numbers to represent distance only, because negatives just tell direction. Okay. So distance, Sebastian says, is subtraction. I'm going to say that again. To find the distance, you do subtraction, right? Okay. So distance is subtraction. Vertical, what does that mean? Up and down, yeah? Which variable, the x or the y, deals with up and down? I ask the questions. Which variable, x or y, deals with up and down? I ask the questions. Which variable, get it? The answer is y. She sounded like she was asking a question. Thank you. Okay, so y is the variable that deals with vertical, right? So when we think vertical, we think y. Horizontal must be x then, left and right. Okay? And subtraction is what? How do you find the distance? You subtract, right? So subtraction is distance. Hold on a second. What is that sign right there?
Negative.
Minus, right? Subtraction. So it's subtraction. What is subtraction? Another way to think of it. What's another way? What is subtraction? Distance. So we're talking about distance up here, right? It's okay. This is what normal class is like, where I wait for you to say the thing I care about. Sorry, I'll get to the real class, okay? Can you believe that's how normal class works? Ridiculous, right? He was correct. It just wasn't the thing I wanted. Distance. And which variable deals with vertical? I'll ask the questions. Which variable deals with up and down?
Not a question.
Thank you. So, y, right? But what does this mean? Vertical distance. It's distance because of subtraction. It's vertical because of y. This is vertical distance. And what is this? What must this mean? Horizontal distance, because it's x and it's subtraction. Distance is subtraction, x is horizontal. Wait a minute. You're telling me that this is vertical distance over horizontal distance? That makes sense. The relationship, division is relationship. We're going to learn about that later. Vertical distance is how far we're going up. Horizontal distance is how far we're going over. The relationship between that is what the slope is, right? If we go up a lot but not over a lot, right, the relationship is this. If we go over a lot but not up a lot, the relationship is this. If we go somewhere in the middle, where it's going to be a combination of the two. Maybe up 3 over 4, right? What do they tell you the slope is all the time? They say it's the blank over the blank. Again, this is regular class. I'm waiting for you to give me the answer I want. Blank over blank. What's slope? This is regular class. I give you a hint, and this is learning. The over the over the. Oh, I love how you said that. That's how I make my kids say it. Rise over run, right? Rise is how far we go up. Run is how far we go left or right. You got to know that one, right? Slope is the rise over the run. It's the vertical distance over the horizontal distance. That's what this formula means. It's vertical distance, distance because of subtraction, vertical because of y, over the horizontal distance, horizontal because of x, distance because of subtraction. How far are we apart vertically? Well, subtract them and you'll figure out how much space is between. How far are we apart horizontally? Subtract them and I'll tell you how far we are apart. That's how far we've gone. That's all this formula means. It's n equals y2 minus what? No. Oh my god, that means nothing. It's rise over run. It's the. How did they come up with this formula? You guys have been asking about it, like equals mc squared. How did they come up with that, right? It's because they did something we don't ever do in school. What did they do to come up with this that we don't ever do in school? They thought about it. Slope is how far you go up and how far you go over, and the relationship. How do you tell how far you went up? Well, you pick your starting point, and your ending point, you find the distance, right? You pick your starting point, you pick your ending point, you find the distance. How far we went up over how far we went over. That's the slope. That's it. Now, you guys don't know that because that's like an end of algebra topic. We're going to get to that eventually. Subtraction is distance. We're going to talk about that today. Before we do, I promised you a movie. This movie is about Nazis. You don't realize that until the end. I used to watch it with my grandparents, and I always fall asleep before the end of it, I think. And so I wouldn't realize what it was really about. But it's taking place in Austria, and it's before Austria is invaded by Germany during World War II. The Nazis are all about compliance, right? Do it our way. Fascism. The beginning of the movie starts out innocent enough. There's this nun, played by Julia Roberts. Is it Julia Roberts? Julie Andrews? Julie Andrews? I think it's Julie Andrews. And she just really isn't a nun, right? She wears the hat, she's got the penguin costume, but she's not a nun in her heart. She's too free. And the nuns get together to talk about what they're going to do about Maria, this nun that's not really a nun. Now, I think the nuns in this kind of stand for the Nazis, and Maria stands for the people of Austria. How do we get her to be what we want her to be, even though she's not really a Nazi, right? How do we get her to be a nun? Maybe that's too extreme. Let's make it a little bit simpler. I think the nuns are like school, and I think Maria is like you. Online learning. From the student's perspective, it sucks because why? I gotta show up to this thing, blah, 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 right? It's awful. It's awful for you guys. And there's lots of good reasons for that. From the teacher's perspective, we say it's awful because the kids don't show up. And I don't know if they're learning or not, and they're not looking at me, right? You ever heard that phrase, eyes on me? I'll wait for eyes on me. They teach you to say that in teacher school, right? Isn't that annoying? Why do they want eyes on them? Because that's the only way they know whether you're learning or not. Are you actually learning? How many of you are looking at me right now and not listening to a word I'm saying, right? But because eyes are on me, oh, I know they're learning. Oh, because they got a grade, I know they're learning because their butts were in the seat. I know they're... You see why online learning is a problem for teachers? Because the only way we know whether you're learning or not, which isn't even a good way of testing it, is that I know you're looking at me and I need to see your eyes. Show us your camera. I need a timestamp on that Google Doc. We don't have that anymore. And they're saying that's why they didn't learn last spring. Because their eyes weren't on me. They weren't complying. The nuns of the school, you were Maria. You weren't meant to do that. That's not real education. You weren't learning before. It's not that remote learning means you aren't learning. It means you were never learning before, and now we can see that. We swept it under the rug for so long. Because we thought their butts are in seats, are getting a grade. Look, she's got an A. She must be learning. Her eyes are on me. And as soon as we take that away, we go, oh my God, they're not learning. They never were. No wonder you guys don't want to show up. Why would you? You're not learning anything. Waste your time. And we use sticks and carrots to make sure you're there. Carrot, you'll get an A if you show up. Give you an attendance grade. And you're like, look, dude, I already have an A. Why do I care about more A's? Eventually, the 12th carrot you get for the day isn't that much better than having 11 carrots, right? So they stopped doing it anymore. Anybody got an A? Why do I do this homework assignment? I already have an A. I don't need it. Extra credit, I don't need it. Right? More learning, I don't need it. I already have an A. Or they use a stick, right? They beat you, right? If you don't show up, we're going to get you. We're going to give you an F. Kids with Fs typically don't just have one, right? They have lots. Why? Because the stick doesn't work. They don't care. Why should I get good grades? You can go to college. I'm not going to college. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Why don't you try your best and still get that?
Exactly. And I'm not really learning. What's the point? Rather do something else. When you go to these conferences, right? Teacher conferences, they'll be like, how to motivate your students. Bull crap. You cannot motivate someone. If you use a carrot to do it, eventually the carrots don't mean anything anymore. If you use a stick to do it, eventually the sticks don't mean anyway. I'm going to get hit anyway. Doesn't matter what I do. I'm a failure. And we kill that level of learning that you have in kindergarten. Who wants to go to school? Yay! Who wants to learn math? Yay! But eventually we start using sticks and carrots and we give you grades. That's when most of you guys started hating school around 4th and 5th grade. Same time we start using grades, giving homework, start ranking you, and you start hating it. You haven't been learning. It's not that remote learning means you aren't learning. It's that you weren't learning before. And the ways we use to measure it to make ourselves feel good that, oh yes, they're learning, aren't there. That's kind of how they feel about Maria.
She climbs a tree and scrapes her knee. Her dress has got a tear. She waltzes on her way to mass and whistles on the stair. And
Can't do that, you're a nun.
Her whimpered, she had
Curly hair.
I even heard her singing in the air.
Can you believe that, singing in the Abbey? Oh my God. These kids, they're not doing what they're supposed to. They're not showing up to online class. Don't they want to learn? Yeah, they do. They're not learning because you aren't teaching. It's not learning.
She's always late for chapel, but her penitence is real. She's always late for everything except for everything.
Always late except for recess.
I hate to have to say it, but I bet
This teacher is everyone.
Maria's not an asset to the Abbey.
Right? Why are they not showing up for class? Oh, it's because they're lazy, blah, 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 blah. And some of those things might be true. We're all lazy to a certain extent. Not wrong. But maybe there's more to it. Maybe we shouldn't just write it off as you being lazy. Maybe it's because there's no point in showing up.
I'd like to say a word in her behalf.
And say, Sister Margareta.
Maria makes me laugh. How do you solve the problem?
That's where I get it from.
How do you catch a cloud and pin it down?
Ooh, do you see what she's doing there? Parallelism. She asks the question, doesn't give an answer. She asks the same question, but in a different way. We do that now all the time. Same equation, just moving stuff around and looking at it a different way. We're turning the gemstone. Different way of looking at it, we might get a different way of understanding, and then we might be able to understand what the answer is, right? How do you solve a problem like Maria? That's the question they don't know the answer to. So what does she do? She asks a similar question. How do you catch a cloud and pin it down? How do you? You can't, and that's her point. Now, not only that you can't, this is the thing most people miss, I think, and I missed it up until just recently. It's not that just you can't, it's that you shouldn't. That's a cloud. That's who the cloud is. That it can't be pinned down. That's who you are as students. We should not be surveilling you guys. We should not be making you conform. We're missing the whole damn point.
How do you find a word that means Maria?
They're lazy. They don't want to work. They're entitled. Right?
Many a thing you know you'd like to tell her.
Ooh, many a thing you know you'd like to tell them. Sound like a teacher-student relationship?
Many a thing she ought to understand. But how do you make
them stay and listen to what you say?
How do
you keep a wave upon the sand? The whole beauty of the wave is that it doesn't stay. You're missing the goddamn point.
keep a wave upon the sand? Oh, how do you solve the problem?
And here it is. Here's the music paper. I love that typo. Our moonbeam instead of a moonbeam. It happens all the time, but I think there's some significance there. Although without it, there's still significance. A moonbeam. How do you hold it in your hand? You can't. Not only that, you shouldn't want to. Who's asking about keeping it in their hand? One of the things that's great about the moon is that everybody gets to see it every day for free. This beautiful, magnificent thing that's bigger, metaphorically and physically, than all of us. We all get it, and it shines its light upon us for free. The person who wants to put the moonbeam in their hand, what do they want to do with it? Take it home, keep it for themselves, own it. Bottle it up, sell it on the market, stick it in a stew. You're missing the whole point. What are you going to do? Take it, put it in the circus, charge tickets? The beauty of the moon is that it is accessible to all of us, right? You're missing the point. It's not just that you can't do it, it's that you shouldn't. I can't make sure you're on the other end of this, watching me at home, and making sure you're learning. I can't make you learn. And I shouldn't try to make you learn. The beauty is that you want to. And I need to get out of your way and rekindle that flame that you had back then. No wonder remote learning sucks. It's school, the worst parts of school, amplified to 100. Compliance, conformity, authority. You better do it or else. And the good kids get a carrot. I don't even like carrots. Shut up. So when they try to make us go back to 5 days a week, no masks, all this stuff, go back to normal, as they call it, right? Remember, the reason they want to do that is because, well, it's not good for their education to do remote learning. Remote learning is terrible, and all the students and all the parents and everybody goes, oh, it was so bad. But I don't think it has to be that much worse than regular learning. I think it is always worse because if we're here, we could go online and do whatever we want, right? If you're home, can I make you guys come here? No, right. So you have more options when you're in person, right? It's always better. But I don't think it has to be drastically better. But we've made it that way. Why? Because we don't realize it's a problem to begin with regular school. Those same problems are going to be here when we come back 5 days a week. You're still not learning. Now we're just all less safe. But if we were willing to fix those problems, the real problems, maybe we could make it better for everybody, even when we are in person. How do you solve a problem like Maria? I assume most problems have this question that goes with them. Why would I want to solve it? Maybe the point is not to. So I'm here to convince you that I'm supposed to, or that we should do a problem. Mika Jacobs was studying for a Spanish quiz next hour, and she came in and she's like, Mr. Matt, she's so nice. Mr. Matt, can I study for my Spanish quiz? I said, Mika, you can do whatever you want. If I cannot grab your attention from studying for Spanish, then I'm probably not very good at my job, right? Like, that's on me, not on you. So how would you solve a problem like Maria? This one right here. Yeah. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. How would you do it? There's lots of ways you've been told how to, and I want to know those, but how would you do it? 21 minus 7. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk more about this then. It was amazing. Mika Jacobs, she did study Spanish in my class for the first 5 minutes, and then after that, because I let her do that, she couldn't study Spanish anymore. She was too busy participating. Imagine if I had told her no, she would have been thinking the entire time to study Spanish. It would have taken a lot longer. She would have been mad at me. She wouldn't want to participate, right? How do you catch a moonbeam